So, gear. Gear is a big topic around musicians, around artists. Maybe it's the camera you shoot with, maybe it's the guitar you play, the pedals you use, or even the paintbrush that you paint with if you're a painter. Gear matters. And so I wanted to kind of today pull back the curtain, talk to you about some of my favorite pieces of gear that I do not regret buying at all. In fact, I would buy them again if I needed to, and how they kind of influence me to create art, to bring glory to the creator, and what that is. So, first things first, the first piece of gear I want to highlight. You've probably seen, if you've tuned along with Beans and Beats, or you've seen us on Instagram or done anything like that, is this right here. This is the OP1 synthesizer. I love this thing. In fact, for a while I wanted one, but I just couldn't pull the trigger on it. I couldn't do it. It's not a cheap piece of gear. In fact, I had been looking for one, and then they stopped making them. And then just recently they came out with a new one that's way crazier. This is not that new one. It is the older one, which I think I actually kind of like better, but that's maybe for another time. But essentially what this is it is a synthesizer. It's got, I want to say 8. It has a lot of synth engines in it. Makes a bunch of weird sounds, stuff like that. It has a headphone jack and a mic jack, a little LED screen here so I can kind of track on what I'm doing. But the really cool thing, and the thing I love the most about this, is not so much the synth power of it and the cool sounds it can make, but the fact that it has 4-track recording. So I can actually record songs. It has a little mic here. I can kind of hum ideas into it. And so what I'll do is I'll kind of take this with me while I'm traveling, or just, it's kind of always in my backpack, and I will jot down ideas. If I have a couple minutes, I'll pull it out, play around with it a bit. And it is, for me, just like, I think of it like an audio notebook, where I can just get ideas down. I can test out sounds, test out concepts, and then later those will evolve into songs. And all of this, by the way, all of this gear and stuff will be listed in the description below of this video, if you want to check it out. But yeah, and not only is it like a little notebook, but it's really, really easy to use. Like, I hit this button on, and it's on immediately already, and it'll start making sound. I talked too much. Start making sound and doing what it needs to do. It's a little slow today, so the sound's off. That's why. So starts making weird sounds. There's a little speaker here. So I use it with headphones most of the time, but either way, just again, I think of it like a audio journal, an audio notebook. Again, best thing I've ever bought with my money. I would do it again. Love this thing. Second thing, a little unconventional for gear, especially if you're a gear-related person, is this guy right here. This is the most valuable thing I think you can have as an artist, as somebody who makes things, is a journal where you can just flesh out your ideas, whether they're lyrics, whether they're a plan for an album, a plan for a video shoot, whatever it is. Have yourself a notebook that you can jot down these ideas. This is my favorite because it has like 3 sections. It has blank pages in the back. I literally just finished using this thing right before I hopped on this live, just jotting out ideas and plans for what we're trying to do with the Illumination Project. And without this, sometimes it's just good to step away from a computer. Step away from the computer, take a pen, get to some paper, and just flesh out some things. Maybe even leave the house or leave the studio, do what you need to do to get out and just write pen to paper. And last but not least is my newest piece of gear that I got, and that is, for all you guitar players out there, a Strymon Iridium. This thing is super cool. I love it because it has like a bunch of different amp modelers in there, different sounds. It has a little headphone jack that I can just plug into my headphones and like dial in the tone that I'm looking for, especially when you're in a studio and you have a bunch of guitars around, or maybe another guitarist comes into play. It's just good to have options. And this gives me all the options I really want. I know there's other stuff like the HX Stomp and stuff like that. Hey, people can have those. That's their thing. I love this because it's simple. It gives me just enough options to be creative, to be different, but not enough to kind of have option overload. And that's really what I wanted to get into with this video. Is the gear is awesome and gear is cool, but I think the biggest thing for me when I'm approaching music making, art making, is I just want to start. I want to eliminate resistance. Because for me as an artist, resistance can be like the biggest thing standing in the way of me making something, right? I can't remember the author's name, but there's a book called The War of Art, and he talks about this idea of resistance being the impending doom of the artist, trying to get over doing the thing. And so for me, when it comes to gear, it's not about buying more gear to make a cool sound or to do a cool thing. In fact, I think sometimes maybe even the less gear you have, the better, because it'll just launch you into making something. With this OP1, I've got 4 tracks. I don't have any screens. I don't have any plugins. Now, don't get me wrong, there's a ton in this thing, but it's very user-friendly, and immediately I'm making sound. Immediately I'm jumping into making something. There is zero resistance other than just waiting for it to power on, and I'm making something. For the notebook, if I have an idea, I start fleshing it out. I'm not trying to like open up a program, find a template, build a mind map. Like I'm just pen to paper writing out ideas. With the Iridium, I'm getting sound immediately. I'm not dialing through menus or installing presets or figuring out my delay options. I'm making sounds. And I don't know, maybe you're like me and maybe you're like, oh, like it's just hard to sit down and make stuff sometimes. It's just hard to do the thing that I think the Lord has called me to do. And the last thing I need is like a piece of gear holding me back, a piece of metal, a piece of plastic holding me back from making the thing that I need to make today. So I just want to encourage you, don't get bogged down in the gear. Don't get bogged down in the details of the thing. Don't buy another piece. Don't buy another thing because that's not going to help you make more things. What's going to help you make more things is sitting down and making more things. So I want to encourage you today, make something. Maybe if after this video, pause it, make something. Make something worth making, worth putting out into the world for God's glory and for his kingdom and curating a culture for the kingdom. If you like this video, I encourage you to subscribe and like, there's some more videos on our channel. I encourage you to go watch the things. But first, I wanted you to see this. Are you tired of getting the same old thing from artists? A song on Spotify for you to listen to and then move on to the next one. Us too. That's why we started The Crew. The Crew is a Patreon community where you get to partner with us in creating to bring glory to the Creator. And as a member, you'll get things like merchandise discounts, access to live streams that aren't shown anywhere else, along with devotional content that we're calling memos and meditations. But it's more than just the perks that you get. It's about being part of something larger than yourself and larger than what we're trying to do, which is providing a contrast culture than the things that are out there. Providing art that is engaging and creative and encouraging those in their walk with Jesus. That's what we're trying to do. So head over, join our Patreon, join the Crew for less than $5 a month. You can join us over there and just watch and see what we can do together. I'm really excited about 2023. I hope you are too. So I'll see you over there. Click over, join the Crew. See you inside.